sit right here for hours. I can pull 10,000 tons. I know all the back ways into everything, and I'll be here to get the job done. I'm a railroad man, I'm a railroad man, riding up on the train.
We first came to Black Butte in 2007 and had a goal of having a place for our friends and supporters interested in railroad preservation, railroad culture, to come together and develop our project, the Black Butte Center for Railroad Culture. It's a beautiful spot. It seemed perfect for us, right next to Mount Shasta, Black Butte, and right along the Union Pacific and Central Oregon and Pacific Main lines. Once at Black Butte, it took some time for us to realize that the forest lands we have were in really bad shape. They were really unhealthy, both for wildlife and also represented a huge fire danger. We realized we had a lot of work to do if we were going to have a healthier and safer forest. So this area that you're looking at here is like what a lot of our land was when we first got it, and basically it either had a fire or was clear cut sometime around 40 years ago and just replanted with rows of ponderosa pine trees. So what was once a native, diverse forest was converted to be a pine plantation. And then there was different land ownership changes, and the people that bought this land weren't foresters, and they, I guess, just thought that this would all be land for development since we're close to the South Weed area. But that never happened, and so what we have here is what's known as a green desert. They're live trees. There's green canopy up high, but as you can see, there's just everything is dead on the forest floor. All the shrubs that were in between the rows died and haven't had enough light, and all the trees have been stunted because there's just a huge amount of competition for moisture and for sunlight. And it's just not at all what a ponderosa pine forest should be.
A couple familiar faces that we can look at here. There's the antelope brush. Yeah. This is all stuff that grew up in the clear cut 30 years ago and has been standing dead for 30 years. More or less because it doesn't rot, because there's no light and there's not much moisture.
Non-man caused, in all of Siskiyou County, the fire history is about 15 years, 15-year fire reentry. And it's based on the regrowth and the death of a dead component in the brush. They have fire starts all during that period, but you don't get the dead component in the brush being able to carry the fuel until you get about 15 years worth of growth on the ground after the last fire. And, the age of your trees in your plantation are probably 40 years, 40 plus. That's at least 2 fire cycles right there. And prior to that, I can't tell because there's so much ground disturbance associated with that. But I would say, based on this right here, being so close to town and a suppression effort that's gone on for quite a while, probably hasn't seen fire in maybe five cycles.
So the first thing we do is come in and limb, cut as many of these dead limbs off as we can, and all of this dead antelope brush and dead manzanita, get it all cut, and then we come through and put in the burn bays and haul the brush to the burn bays and kind of do our initial burn.
From there, once we've got all of that burned, it really opens up the area, it gives us room to work. From there we can start the thinning process, and we all walk through together and we look at things and take out trees. Like say you got 3 or 4 in a row and they're like obvious dead on, you might take the 2 in the middle and leave one that looks healthy, and one at the end, and that gives them space too. At the same time, breaks up the rows, and it takes out competition for water, and which is really good.
Once we get a good pile going, around a burn bay in an open area we feel is safe on a calm day, especially after it's rained. We get it going and just try to clear the area of all the limbs. And once the trees are down, take all the limbs off and just burn them all up until the area is cleared out.
Even though it rained just yesterday, it's pretty dry, and also we had this tarped up to keep this first pile, good and dry. As we thin out the trees on our land, we're trying to create groves, stands, small clearings, basically to try to recreate a more natural ponderosa pine forest. Among the pines, there are also a lot of other tree species, oaks, firs, cedars, and other trees. So we're trying to give those space to grow so the forest becomes more diverse and natural looking.
Ponderosas want to grow out in a big, bushy pyramid, and they don't naturally grow in dense stands really close together anywhere. So they're all fighting for water, and they're all fighting for light, and they're all the same age, and so they gradually start getting sick and susceptible to diseases, and a lot of them are just really puny.
One of the things, as we try to think about which trees to thin after we've done the first initial limbing up the trees and burning the brush, is since this was a ponderosa plantation, all the trees are in rows. So, and we're trying to reduce the row effect so the forest starts to look more natural. Try to keep the dominant trees, the nice big trees like this one here, and even this one. But as you look at this row, like this is a real obvious one that's kind of just in the way of the other trees, and it's not going to do much. It's stuck in between all these other ones. So I just mark it, and then that's one we'll be cutting down.
Praying I got wood left I can trust. And I'm a high stumping snag on the fire line. How I love to make that big saw line. Well, the Lord knows I am a shaker. Cat faces and widow makers. Night time, so high stumping snags on the fire line. When my chain gets a rolling, fanning the flame, well, it gives me a feeling I can never name. I can see or breathe through all that smoke.
Snags are a really important component of the structure and function of a natural forest. So we've been using a variety of methods to try to create snags. Brody and some of the other logging crew that we've had have been girdling some trees where they remove a strip of the bark around the base of the tree and kill the tree that way. We've also had a few trees that Brody removed all of the limbs and then topped, and we've created some snags in that method.
So one of the things we're doing here is going up and killing some of the trees. We girdle some of them, but it doesn't work that well in ponderosas. So walk up it, take a top, leave the stick. Ponderosas don't grow back if you take all their foliage away, so it'll die.
And if it's ever me you're thinking of, you can know that I died doing what I love. And that's high stomping snags on the fire line. How I love to make that big saw line. Well, the Lord knows I am a shaker, cat faces and widow makers. And that's how I can spend my summertime. This high stomping snags on the fire line. And that's how I can spend my summertime. High stomping snags on the fire line.
In addition to the thicker forest areas, we have some huge brush fields, old dead brush on our land. And trying to clear that all by hand is just daunting. That's why we needed to bring in the heavy guns.
Well, we're clearing some field here for the b.b.c.r.c. Got the T320 track machine with the Forester masticator head, and making a path here, as you can see.
What does this machine do?
This machine ultimately pulverizes the brush. As you can see here, it doesn't chip it, but these carbide teeth pull it through a steel comb on the back, and it pulverizes, and well, you can see what it leaves behind. Total devastation.
Over here, over there, and sometimes over there. Over here, over there. I'm a pub engineer. Sometimes they call me for the Texas. I'm called for the shoreline. Sometimes just walking, sometimes they call me for that old main line. Over here, over there, and sometimes over there.
Here we are at the b.b.c.r.c. This is my Lucas mill. These are my boys. I got them rolling stuff into the mill. We bring us the portable mill. Look at them. What amazing guys. Come on, guys, let's go. We got them putting it all in here. We put it in, we bring the mill down, and we start making lumber, which is all over here. And there comes Brody. He's late, of course. We want to get his mug in here. Got the tape measure. These guys are ready to go. So I taught them everything they knew in 2 hours. Logs came from the property. We're thinning the forest here. These guys are the thinners. They're doing excellent work, and you know, this is a very ecological way to deal with your property. You make it forest-like again. You mill the lumber that comes down. You know, it's a beautiful thing. We're going to build a fence. We're going to fence off the property. We can do many things with it. We can build a proper horseshoe pit. Have them long enough.
Baby, know you make me wanna wrap your arms around me like that mycelium. You got that polar bear butt bouncing down the line. Watch that pretty mama, wanna make you mine. Wanna scramble in your bramble, want you to shake my tree, want you to be the one to make a monkey out of me. Wanna lick that sticky honey right off your lips. I got a pack of Lucky Strikes and a half rack of Schlitz.
A lot of the work that we're trying to accomplish with this forestry project is to improve the value for wildlife that uses this land. We have a lot of diverse bird species that live here, as well as deer and bears, mountain lions, coyotes, bobcats, foxes. My background is a wildlife biologist focused on birds and bird ecology. We've done a lot of work in the forestry of trying to open it up, which allows birds to be able to move around the forest much easier. Just kind of some observational data that I've been collecting already kind of shows that birds are using some of those dense forest areas that they weren't before. So there have been some pine bark beetle outbreaks in this area of Siskiyou County. We've had a few trees that have some damage from pine bark beetles, and one of the reasons why it's good to promote woodpecker populations is because they're a predator on pine bark beetles and other insects, wood-boring insects that can be detrimental to the forest. The pine bark beetles are native to this area, but with poor forest management practices and fire suppression, the pine bark beetle populations have been able to get out of control. We've also been planting quite a few native species and some native trees, but also we've been trying to plant some shrubs as well, including some species that have berries that are useful for foraging by wildlife, by birds and bears and other species of wildlife. So yeah, we've really been trying to make creation of good wildlife habitat an important component of the forestry work that we've been doing here.
This is a knobcone pine tree. It's one of the only ones we have on our land. These trees are almost becoming like an endangered species in this area because of fire suppression. As you can see, the pine cones are very different than they are on ponderosas. They're right on the tree limbs. They're a type of pine cone that will only open up with fire, with extreme heat. And so normally a knobcone pine, they're short-lived trees, and when a periodic fire would come through, that's when the cone would open up. But because the fires have been suppressed in this area, all the knobcone pines are dying without new ones coming up. So we're trying a technique of taking the cones, putting them in fire, and then seeing if we can get them to propagate that way. Yep, there they are.
I can sit right here for hours. I can pull 10,000 tons. I know all the back ways into everything, and I'll be here to get the job done. I'm a railroad man, I'm a railroad man, riding up on the train. I'm a railroad man, I'm a railroad man, doing my part to move this land. I'm the one that's blowing that lonesome whistle. Can't you hear those steel rails whine? singing